Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rob Sutton, and yesterday was a pretty big day for Apple. They actually made some pretty big updates to the iPad lineup for the very first time in a long time. And while they actually look pretty cool, I'm gonna kind of argue no one's gonna really care. So let's get into it. So in typical Tim Cook and Apple fashion, they labeled this
the biggest day for iPad since its introduction.
So what are these huge updates? Well, first off, the iPad Air now gets two sizes, the 11 and 13 inch, and it also obviously gets the M2 processor upgrade. That makes it start off at $599 and then goes all the way up to $1499 for the larger version completely maxed out. And then when we get to the iPad Pro, the two major updates were the M4 processor and the tandem OLED screen that is a 1000 nit OLED screen. It also happens to now be the thinnest Apple product ever made, which is pretty impressive. That means this new iPad Pro is thinner than every single iPhone that's ever made. Now, whether or not this will actually be durable long term, we'll have to see in the future. I do know I put my iPads through hell going through industrial complexes and other situations where they get knocked around. So we'll have to see the long-term effects of that, but it is pretty impressive they're able to put that much processing power and that much cooling into such a thin, small form factor. And then of course the iPad Pro is more expensive. We start off at $999 for the base model, then goes up to a staggering $2,599 for the maxed out model. So here's the question. After you get over the sticker shock of there's actually a $2,600 iPad, who are these upgrades really for? So first off, what do we actually like about the iPad? First, it's a multimedia machine. You can strap it to the back of a headrest for your kids to keep them occupied during long trips. It's great for Netflix, YouTube, and other just video watching activities. It has a lot of really cool apps on it that integrate it with the Apple Pencil, as well as other features that really go after that touchscreen experience. For me personally, it's great for productivity. I can go into meetings now, write everything down with my Apple Pencil, and it seamlessly integrates with every single one of my devices, whether it be my phone, laptop, or the iPad itself. It's no longer shuffling around pieces of paper all over the place that can get lost. I have everything in one place that goes to all of my devices, which makes my life a lot easier. So what actually justifies the price of getting some of these incremental updates? And that really illustrates the problem that we have right now, and that the hardware is really outperforming the software. I mean, who really needs M4 processing power in an iPad? And especially with the iPad, where we get into a lot of problems, is the iPad OS is getting to be really outdated. Even though we have WWDC coming soon, until the iPad gets a full operating system, a $2,000 plus iPad really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now I can see with the iPad Air, with the M2 processor, it's gotten powerful enough that someone with an outdated iPad, even an outdated Pro, can look at upgrading to the Air and justify that price. And especially for someone who's looking at getting an iPad for the first time, even that base model Air is going to have plenty of performance for whatever they need. But who needs an iPad Pro? And the answer is, I'm not really sure. The iPad Pro is a huge cost when an older generation iPad Pro or even the new iPad Air has plenty of horsepower for 99.9% of what you do with an iPad. And these incremental performance increases aren't just a problem for the iPad. The iPad just happens to illustrate it more than any other product out there. We're at the point now, until we get a technological change that requires this new horsepower, like possibly AI, these new model years that keep coming out, even though they say it's the best one ever released, really doesn't have a lot of use cases for anyone that has a gen previous or even previous to that. And then you run into the problem that these iPad Pros are as expensive and as powerful as a laptop. And the problem with that is that everything that you actually need an iPad for that it does really well, you don't need an M4 processor. And then everything that you need an M4 processor for, you really need to use a laptop or a computer, because an iPad form and function in OS actually makes it harder to do those tasks rather than easier. Like, I know Apple said that whole release yesterday was actually edited all on an iPad Pro, but I'll be honest, the last thing I want to do is edit on an iPad Pro if I've got a laptop. It's so much easier in that form factor, especially if you have to hook up a bunch of peripherals, hard drives, screens, or anything else. It might be good for just a quick cut edit here to throw on TikTok, but if you're actually editing a video, a laptop is much better for that situation. So we have these really expensive units that are really overpowered for what their best use case is. So that really kind of begs the last question: where does the iPad sit in the current product lineup with this much power? And it almost seems like it's just Apple's way of being too stubborn to put touch screens on their laptops. They're making the iPad Pro laptop capable without a laptop OS. So guys, I want to hear what you think down in the comment section below. Is there circumstances where you could see actually justifying a $1,500 plus iPad? I want to hear about those from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Rob Sutton for more videos like this in the future. And until then, on to the next one. Thanks guys, see ya.